I guess the main sports story that's happening right now that I feel like we should be talking about, otherwise we will definitely not make it into the amazing ranks of Barstool Sports, and they're just perfectly named podcasts all the time, is
Yes.
the fact that the NFL is hoping to have Lift Every Voice play before the Star-Spangled Banner at the NFL games, which I think
Okay.
has given two big reactions on social media. The first is, "Oh wow, this is so cool, this is so great." And the same time of anytime we would hear like the white actors who voice people of color are giving up those voice acting jobs to people of color, which sure, yeah, great, fulfilling the bare minimum. I completely agree.
Mhm.
But then the other side is it really kind of doesn't make a lot of difference if the whole reason for the protest and everything else wasn't so that way then you could get Lift Every Voice. It was for the police brutality aspect, and that needs to
Yeah.
get reformed. And so cities which will still approve ever expanding police budgets, then also being the same cities where they're playing Lift Every Voice every other Sunday when the NFL team plays. It's just the quintessential example.
Kelton. I'm sorry. Like, so we're getting Lift Every Voice. White people are no longer going to voice people of color. I mean, we want police to stop killing black people. I mean, I think we might be getting a little greedy. Like, I'm just saying, like.
Well, think about it this way, though. It's not lift up black voices. It's lift every voice. Every voice matters.
I mean, every voice matters. Exactly. It's like, come on. Like, I mean, clearly we're doing our best, as a nation and as the NFL as a league to not actually address any systemic racism whatsoever. But you know what, man? Like, we're going to play Lift Every Voice.
Yes. An apathetic hand job is still a hand job, as the phrase goes. I think, though, that to kind of contrast this, a thing that really does, I think, have a pragmatic effect is hitting the NFL in its pocketbooks. And that comes with the news that the CEO of FedEx, who's also a minority owner in, obligatory trigger warning here for the word Redskins. We're talking about the organization, not about the Native American people group here, but saying that if you don't change the name of your professional football team, then we're not going to want to fund your next stadium venture when it comes time. And that is kind of what Dan Snyder has been trying to sell the whole city on, of, well, we may have a sucky team, and hey, I may be a sucky owner, but we're gonna get a really balling stadium somewhere in either Virginia or Maryland.
I think, look, so we all know Dan Snyder's not going to change the name. And unless he dies or somebody sees to that fact, hypothetical, of course.
Yeah. We would never call for the direct assassination of Dan Snyder. That would be, of course not, bad if that happens.
But I think I'm just saying, My Pillow Stadium is still potentially on the market.
I think that guy might also be fine with the name Redskins, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the Redskins or the Washington professional football team, may end up, it may be the My Pillow Dome.
Ooh, God. Oh, no. A pillow dome sounds like a weird sex act that people were really into in the 70s. Like, hey, get over here.
Following to this day. Yeah.
Is that the zealous base that we need to start appealing to, Mitch? Is the underserved market?
Man, I wish I knew what base to appeal to.
I think it's third. Third is the base I think we're supposed to appeal to.
Man, for most of our fans, it's like second base is good enough. Like, let's be honest.
Not because they don't have sex, but because they're so out of shape they get tired at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like going all the way is a lot of work.
It's an achievement in itself. You just made it second base, you know.
It's like you go ahead, Mitch.
You left home. I mean, you know, the story writes itself.
Like you had enough energy to close the door and just groan your way into bed. Like I think that's
I do enjoy that. Like, oh, baby, we're not going to fuck. We're going to go on a hero's journey. That's what's about to happen here. Christ. Yeah. I mean, I just think that when the NFL is wanting to talk about what changes that they're actually wanting to make, that it really is going to need to kind of be real policy instead of platitudes, because the idea of them adding patches on with all of the victims of police violence isn't going to work, mostly because like there's going to be a new patch every week, if not multiple patches every week. Yeah. And that seems like that's really not going to work. Okay, Mitch, like I understand that that's cringeworthy, but like it's going to be true. Like there's no way that the police are going to change unless they're defunded, and so I think that like real action.
No. Why would they even think patches is even an option? Like, where does that idea even come from?
Bad liberal politics, I think is.
Yeah, I think you've got some like Northwestern grad who happens to work in the NFL front office.
You can just say like the CEO of the Green Bay Packers. That's okay.
Yes, there we go. Is like, yo, what if? First off, they wouldn't say yo. They would say, hey, sir, what if we put patches on the uniforms to show? I believe they call it solidarity.
Fight the power. Indeed.
Yes.
That is what we can do. Me, a multi-billionaire white man, can help fight the system.
I mean, I think it's my role as the proletariat to just ignore how any of that is supposed to even exist. Like, it's not even food on the table. It's nothing.
Yeah. Like, I do enjoy that. Like, okay, well, you know, the NFL would get really woke, by the way, of just in the same way that realtors are no longer going to use the word master bedroom. If they'd be like, listen, we are now the financial suppliers and backers of this NFL team. God. We are no longer the owners of this NFL team.
We are the primary investors.
There we go.
In this NFL team.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's all such bullshit, empty, just meaningless platitudes. I can't get over it. I'm going to get mad though. So probably time to go ahead and move into the fantasy discussion, AKA the thing that we enjoy talking about that doesn't make the blood get overly boiling all the time. Unless, of course, either of you doubt me in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, or disagree.
Here for the disagreements.
So I mean, the question I think always comes down every year of like, who are the fantasy players to avoid? And I think this year it's every single player on the Washington professional football team, because you know they're going to sit out a few games until.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I would not be surprised if they protest. Which is great. I think the players should absolutely exercise the power that they have over the team to make money and do stuff. And also because that eliminates one entire team that I have to draft from come fantasy season.
No amount of Dwayne Haskins.
Pretty decent last year.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's just hope he gets traded or something.
It's going to suck to not be able to pick up Scary Terry, but at the very least, you don't need to worry. It's like, oh, do I pick up Scary Terry? Or it's like, no, just don't pick him up. He's not going to play.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in a league with a bunch of Games and no one's drafting the Redskins players, I'm taking Scary Terry in the 16th round or whatever.
I mean, that's the thing is, you make him a late round. You pick him up as a wide receiver 4 option. And then if he plays, he's your WR2. You're good to go.
I think a real issue when we're talking about like, you know, the idea of wokeness or like not drafting based on protest would be interesting, because I wonder how Gabe would feel about like the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, Tyreek Hill is sitting there like in the 4th round.
Right.
To be fair, this is the level of commitment I have. I burned a roster spot for Colin Kaepernick for an entire season.
Oh wow! But you didn't start him for a game, just like those goddamn owners didn't.
Look, look, man. This is called liberal platitudes. Like, there's still money on the line. I still need a quarterback.
I'm just picturing Gabe frantically doing research, like how to be a good ally. How many Native American tribes have expressed their approval of the Kansas City Chiefs? What is their polling at this rate among the various organizations? Like,
look, man, God. it's like that is the beauty of neoliberal capitalism, right? It's like you gotta make sure you protect the profit margins and be a good ally.
Well, you got to have your finger on the pulse, you know.
Exactly.
And if we are going to be keeping our finger on the pulse here, there was an interesting article released earlier today that talked about the 9 must-avoid fantasy football players, aka these are people who you certainly don't want to reach up for, don't even necessarily want to draft based on what their estimate is, but instead are wanting to go with just wait for them to fall and continue falling, and then maybe take a look at them. So I'll read off the list, and then I figure we can each kind of just pick one and then talk about it for a little bit, if that makes sense. Okay, y'all?
Perfect.
Great.
Sounds good.
So number 1, we have Devin Singletary, then Raheem Mostert, then A.J. Brown, then Darius Geis, and then we have Odell Beckham Jr., followed by Devontae Parker, then Melvin Gordon, Evan Ingram, and wrapping up the list is Todd Gurley. Do we have any immediate disagreements, or is there any name, like, who wants to talk about which player on the list? I'll let y'all go first because I'm a gracious and benevolent host.
I really feel like, wait, you said Evan Ingram?
Evan Ingram, that's correct.
Okay. Oh yeah. Because of injury, or
yes,
what kind of reason
is the listing. Is that
okay.
He is also listed as tight end 7 on various draft boards, and he's going 72 overall at the moment, and especially considering his injury history, and he's coming off of a foot surgery from December. Don't really know if you like him at his current ADP at this point.
He's young though, and if him and Daniel Jones play 16 games together,
that could be true. That could be, a real magic point. What was that one wide receiver on the Giants who had like one breakout game? Everyone tried to add him to their benches, and then
it was like Slay or something.
Yeah. Or no, not Slay is the cornerback.
Slay. I know. That's what I thought too. But I'm pretty sure they're both Slay.
It's fine. It's whatever. I'm sure we could easily
look
it up.
Slayton.
Okay, there we go. That makes
something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, he got, like, I started in 1 week and he got me like 40 points.
There we go.
But that's gonna be his upside is huge. His floor is so very, very low.
Right. No, it's definitely like you're sitting here and you're pulling the lever, like.
So this has Evan Ingram being listed at ADP at 72. So if you've gone 6 rounds, I guess, or you're 6.5 rounds in, Evan Ingram is still on the board. Are you gonna draft him, Mitch?
So here's what I'm saying. If like all the top, if you're not going for a tight end within the first 5 rounds, and Evan Ingram's there when you should be taking a tight end, I wouldn't shy away from that.
I think that's a good option.
Well, I mean, especially when we have to think about with him looking at like what the tight end rankings are. It's Kelsey, Kittle at the top, then Ertz, I guess, and
Ertz.
Mark Andrews, I would probably put him up there.
Yes,
until I get proven wrong.
Right.
And then
but the bottom line is, I mean, I think to cut to your point, Kelton, is that at most we have 5 or 6 like playable tight ends,
and these are all very high use guys as well.
Yeah,
they're just as likely to get injured as anyone else.
Yeah, let's not forget that George Kittle's nickname was George Brittle. Like, the idea of him being healthy is more of a rarity than I think we're giving it credit for here.
I mean, so if you haven't picked, so if say you're 6.5 rounds in, or in the middle of the 7th round, I'd pick him up. I mean, if you don't have a tight end yet, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you need to be. I think ultimately, like, if you're going to draft a tight end, like in the top, I'm going to say 5 to be safe.
Yeah.
Like, then you probably need to take a tight end like after your RB. I mean, even a running back and wide receiver is like.
Well, here let's look at it from a different perspective. This might be more interesting. All right, I'm going to read the person above Evan Ingram and the person below, and then you tell me which of the 3 you would rather have. Okay, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, or Hunter Henry.
Ooh.